Hey guys, today we're going to learn how to solve two-step equations. Make sure you have your journal, a pen or a pencil, and a highlighter. Alright, the first thing we're going to look at are the steps to solving a two-step equation. I'm going to use my highlighter and my pen and fill in a couple things. Step 1, it says we need to use the inverse operation to undo adding or subtracting. So I'm going to add a few words right here. Inverse basically just means the opposite. So if you want to add that to your notes, you can. It's also going to be the number that we're looking for in this area is going to be called the constant. We're going to label that in a second. Number 2, we're going to do the inverse operations to get rid or undo any multiplication or division. So again, inverse just means opposite. You don't have to write it again if you don't want to, but I am going to underline it. And then this time, the multiplication and division, that is paired up where our variable is. So I'm going to label that. Then in step 3, what we're looking for is, it says blank the equation by isolating the variable. And what we're trying to do is actually solve to get our final answer. So I'm going to fill in the word solve. Okay, so now here on our example below, I'm going to go through and label the constant and the variable just so we know which ones are which. I'm going to draw a line coming down. I'm going to put a box around plus 15. That is our constant number. So please make sure you're labeling this in your journals. Then the 10x, I'm going to make a line going a little slanted so my words don't get too close together. That is the variable. So x is the variable, and then 10 is our coefficient. So I'm also going to add that word. This was on our vocab list at the beginning of Unit 2. The coefficient goes with the number 10. Okay, so these are the 4 questions at the bottom of page 30 on your journal. We're going to take turns solving these 4 questions here in just a second. I'm going to have them on the page one at a time so I have more space on my screen for you guys to see. Okay, I'm bringing back the steps to solve just to make sure you guys remember. You've already labeled them at the top of your page, but you can't see them on mine. So the thing we're going to do, number 1, we're going to look for the constant number. And we're going to do the opposite of adding or subtracting. I'm just putting these back on my page. You guys don't have to write them again. Another thing I think you guys did last year was split the equal sign. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to separate it into 2 parts. Now, the thing I need to look for is the part that's being added or subtracted, but the constant number. Okay? When you come across here, my constant number is 10. The number that's going to be paired with my variable is the 3. So I'm keeping those separate. Okay, the opposite of adding or subtracting the constant number. Right now, my constant number is positive 10. So the opposite of positive 10, I need to get rid of it or do the opposite, is negative 10. And whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to also do it on the opposite side of the equation. So the left side gets minus 10 or negative 10. The right side needs to also get minus 10 or negative 10. Then I'm going to draw a line like I'm about to solve for what is there. 10 minus 10, that's 0, so it cancels out. I'm not going to put 0. If you want, you can. Then I'm going to come across and I'm going to do 22 minus 10. That makes 12. Okay, now we're ready for step 2. Step 2 says use the inverse operation to undo any multiplication or division. So I'm going to say I'm on step 2. That is the number that's paired with your variable. It's called your coefficient. Again, I'm writing this part because I can't see it like you guys can. Inverse operation of the multiplying and dividing. So I'm going to copy down all of this number. Pay attention to the sign in front. Sometimes it's a negative. Positive 3k equals 12. So we talked about this last week. Now we're at a one-step equation. 3k just means multiply. So now I want the opposite of multiply, which is divide. So I'm going to make a dividing problem. 3 divides into 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. That makes 4 times. I'm going to say k equals 4. Now, if you wanted to check your work, you take the question part where it says 10 plus 3k, and I think k is 4. So that means 10 plus 3 times 4. I could go ahead and solve it. The 10 stays the same. Then I put plus 12. 10 plus 12 is 22. I could look and compare, and it does actually say the equation is supposed to equal 22. So since these match, then I know 4 is the right answer. On question 2, this one is written backwards, which is okay. We still follow the same steps. We're going to do the opposite of addition or subtraction, then do the opposite of multiply or divide. The first thing I'm going to do is split that equal sign again. I'm going to label my numbers. So we have this is our variable, our coefficient, and then this is my constant number. So the opposite of subtracting 5. This time I'm going to make sure I put a box around it to help you guys see that it is saying minus 5. So the opposite of that would be plus 5 or positive 5. Whatever you do to the left, make sure you do to the right. We want both sides to maintain the balance and stay equal. Now I can see that negative 5 and positive 5, those cancel each other out to make 0. On the left side this time, I have 19 plus 5. That makes 24 equals. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring down the variable and coefficient 4p. Now I'm ready for step 2. The opposite of 4p means multiply. So the opposite of multiply is divide. So now I'll make a dividing box. And I will say 4 divides into 24. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. That made 6. So I'm going to write p equals 6 right here. I could check it. 4p minus 5. So 4p, this means multiply, and now we think that it's going to be a 6. So I can substitute my 6 and say 4 times 6 minus 5. 4 times 6 is 24. 24 minus 5, that makes 19. And then my equation actually had 19 as the equal sign for the total, and that's what I got. So I know 6 is the correct answer. Question number 3. Still got my steps up here to remind me what to do. First thing is always the opposite of adding or subtracting. So I'm going to split that equal sign again. I'm going to label the r as my variable. The 2 would be the coefficient that's with it. And then the 8 is my constant, but I'm going to draw a box around it because this time it's not a positive 8. It has subtract 8 in front of it. So I have to remember what is the opposite of that. The opposite of take away 8 or negative 8 is positive 8. So I'm going to write that on both the left side and the right side. Draw my line so I can solve. Negative 8, positive 8, that makes 0. It cancels. Then I have 16 plus 8. That makes 24. I can bring down my variable and my coefficient. So now it says r. I'm going to write it sideways this time. R divided by 2 equals 24. This time we have a new question. This is already division, so I don't want to divide again. The second step says do the inverse operation or multiply or divide. So in this one, the opposite of divide is multiply. So I need to make a multiplication problem. 24 times 2, that makes 48. So I can say R equals 48. Now to check this question, the way I would do it is I would say 48 divided by 2, then take away 8. So 2 divided into 48 is 24. 24 minus 8 should be 16. And that is the number that they have over here on the side. So I checked my work and got it right. All right. Next question, number 4. Same steps. Starting out, split the equal sign. It's okay that the total came first. They can write the question backwards. I'm going to label the variable with the coefficient, and then I'm going to label the constant number. I'm going to put a box around it, so I make sure and don't forget the sign that's in front of the number. This says minus 3. The opposite of minus 3, good job, it's add 3. Now when I combine those, minus 3 plus 3, or negative and positive, they cancel each other out to be 0. On the left side, I have 7 plus 3. That makes 10. So now I have 10 equals. I can bring down my variable with its coefficient, 2w. 2w means multiplication. So in step 2, it says do the opposite inverse of multiply or divide. So now since this is already multiply, I make a dividing question. 2 divides into 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That made 5. So I'm going to say W equals 5. To check my work, I would say 2W minus 3. That means times, so I think W is 5. 2 times 5 minus 3. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 3 makes 7. Then over here, the number for the total by the equal sign is 7. That's what I got, so 5 is the correct answer. Okay, on page 31, we're going to look at this question tomorrow, and then we'll also look at question 6. You guys don't have to do those today. Now it's time to just download your assignment into your Metamoji app and then get started. 2.3. That's what you want to go download into Metamoji.